Can a person's name be known long before they are born? Is it possible that the details of someone's life, who they will become, what they will accomplish, could be written down, waiting in the pages of history, before they ever take their first breath? Before we explore this topic, please like and subscribe for more fascinating Bible stories. Can their greatest achievements be recorded in a book for all to see? More than a century before they even exist? Imagine a story so remarkable that it seems to blur the line between fate and free will, between what is known and what is yet to be discovered. This idea challenges our understanding of time itself. It asks us to consider whether the future can ever truly be predicted, or if some events are destined to unfold no matter what choices are made. History sometimes presents us with puzzles that defy explanation, enigmas that make us question what we know about the past, and even about the nature of reality itself. The story of a great king from ancient Persia is one such puzzle. It is a tale that has fascinated scholars, historians, and seekers of truth for generations. His name was Cyrus, a powerful ruler, founder of an empire, and a figure whose story was written before he lived. Cyrus the Great would go on to change the course of history, but his destiny seemed to be set in motion long before his birth. The most astonishing part, his name and deeds were recorded in the scrolls of a prophet named Isaiah. These ancient writings, preserved for centuries, contain details that would later match the life and actions of Cyrus with uncanny precision. The prophecy is specific. It names Cyrus, details his actions, and was written over 150 years before his birth. Such accuracy raises profound questions about the nature of prophecy, and whether history is sometimes guided by forces beyond our understanding. Was this an extraordinary coincidence? Or could it be evidence of a mind outside of time, orchestrating events with purpose? The mystery invites us to look deeper, to wonder if there is more to history than meets the eye. This is the story of the prophecy of Cyrus the Great, a tale that invites us to see history not just as a series of random events, but as a story with meaning, intention, and perhaps even destiny woven into its fabric. Let's explore this extraordinary account together, and consider what it might teach us about destiny, the mystery of foreknowledge, and the timeless questions that echo through the corridors of history. To truly grasp the power and significance of this prophecy, we must journey back in time, back to an era marked by turmoil and heartbreak, when the fate of an entire people hung in the balance. It was a time of deep despair for the Jewish people, a moment when their world was shattered and their future uncertain. Jerusalem, their beloved capital and spiritual heart, was besieged and ultimately destroyed by the mighty Babylonian army in 586 BC, leaving devastation in its wake. The sacred temple, once the center of their faith and identity, was reduced to rubble. Families were torn apart as the people were taken captive, forced to leave behind everything they knew. Thus began the Babylonian exile. The Jews, now exiles in a foreign land, mourned by the rivers of Babylon. Far from their homeland, they wept for what was lost, their hearts heavy with longing and sorrow. Their world seemed to have ended, their story as a nation appeared to be over. The familiar streets of Jerusalem were silent, and hope seemed to have vanished. Yet in this overwhelming darkness, a message of hope was needed more than ever, a glimmer of light to pierce the shadows of despair. That message had been written long before, preserved in sacred scrolls, waiting patiently for the moment when it would be most needed. It spoke of a future that the exiles could not yet imagine, a promise that, even in the darkest times, a new dawn would eventually break. The exiles clung to these ancient words, searching for meaning in their suffering and hoping that the prophecies would one day come true. In the midst of loss and devastation, a prophecy awaited its fulfillment, a beacon of hope shining through the ruins. It promised restoration and renewal, even when hope seemed impossible and the future uncertain. The stage was set for a remarkable turn in history, a story of resilience, faith, and the enduring power of hope. Long before Jerusalem's fall, the prophet Isaiah spoke. He lived over a century before the exile, when Babylon was not yet a threat. Isaiah's vision reached far into the future. He foresaw exile, but also restoration. His prophecies were not just warnings, but promises of hope. Most remarkably, Isaiah named the deliverer, Cyrus. This was unprecedented, a prophet naming a foreign king not yet born as God's chosen instrument. At the time, Persia was insignificant and the name Cyrus meant nothing, yet Isaiah declared that Cyrus would be the one to bring the exiles home. This specific detail made the prophecy a test of truth. If it came to pass, it would be undeniable evidence of divine authority. The prophecy stood as a challenge to history itself. Would a man named Cyrus truly rise and fulfill these words? Let's examine Isaiah's words, preserved for over 2 millennia. In chapter 44, God declares, "I am the one who says of Cyrus, he is my shepherd, and he shall perform all my pleasure. Saying to Jerusalem, you shall be built, and to the temple, your foundation shall be laid." The prophecy is clear. Cyrus is named, given the title My Shepherd, and tasked with rebuilding Jerusalem and the temple. This was a direct challenge to chance, naming a future king and his actions. God's purposes would be fulfilled through a pagan ruler. Cyrus would gather the scattered people and lead them home. The prophecy even outlines the royal decree he would issue. It foretells not just the man but his policy. The fate of a nation rested on the fulfillment of these words. Would history align with prophecy? The answer would shape the destiny of a people. The prophecy continues in Isaiah 45, where God addresses Cyrus directly. "Thus says the Lord to his anointed, to Cyrus whose right hand I have held, to subdue nations before him and open before him the double doors so that the gates will not be shut." Cyrus is called his anointed, a title usually reserved for Israel's own kings. God promises to empower Cyrus, guiding his conquests. The prophecy predicts Cyrus's rapid military victories and even hints at the fall of Babylon. The city's gates would be left open. Babylon was considered unconquerable, yet the prophecy says its defenses would fail. This detail would be tested in the crucible of history. The fate of empires and the hope of exiles hung on these words. Would a foreign king, named in advance, truly fulfill this destiny? The stage was set for prophecy to meet reality. Decades passed in Babylonian exile, and Isaiah's prophecy seemed a distant hope. Then from Persia, Cyrus rose, just as foretold. He conquered nation after nation, forging the Medo-Persian Empire. His final prize, Babylon, the world's greatest city. On the night of the invasion in 539 BC, the Babylonians felt secure behind their walls. But Cyrus's army diverted the Euphrates River, entered through the riverbed, and found the city's inner gates left open. Babylon fell in a single night without a fight, just as the prophecy described. Cyrus became master of the empire, fulfilling Isaiah's words in detail. He had subdued nations, defeated kings, and taken Babylon through open gates. The first part of the prophecy was fulfilled. Now the question remained: what would Cyrus do with the Jewish exiles? Would he fulfill the rest of Isaiah's prophecy? The answer would change history. The world watched as destiny unfolded. When empires changed hands, captives rarely saw freedom. But Cyrus was different. He believed in tolerance and letting people return home. In 538 BC, his first year ruling Babylon, Cyrus issued a decree recorded in the book of Ezra. The decree fulfilled Isaiah's prophecy: "The Lord God of heaven has given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he has charged me to build him a house at Jerusalem." Cyrus invited the Jews to return and rebuild the temple. The prophecy and the decree matched, word for word. Cyrus acknowledged his task came from the God of Israel. The man named before his birth had risen and acted as foretold. The prophecy had come full circle. History and prophecy met in a moment of restoration. What does this story mean for us today? The prophecy of Cyrus is more than a historical curiosity. It's a testament to God's control over history and his care for his people. Isaiah wrote the prophecy centuries before its fulfillment, yet every detail unfolded as foretold. This is not chance, it is design. God is not a distant observer. He is the master architect weaving events for a purpose. For the exiles, the prophecy was hope in darkness. It reminds us that no situation is hopeless. Deliverance may already be set in motion. The promise existed before the problem. The fulfillment of this prophecy anchors faith, not blind but based on evidence. If God could name Cyrus and his deeds in advance, his other promises are just as reliable. The story of Cyrus is a benchmark where the divine and human intersected. It leaves a message of sovereignty and unfailing love. The story of Cyrus is ultimately about trust. It's about believing in something greater than ourselves, even when we can't see the outcome. In a world filled with uncertainty, the story reminds us that sometimes, the most important thing we can do is take a step forward in faith. The Jewish exiles had to believe in a promise that seemed impossible. They were far from home, surrounded by a foreign culture, and yet they clung to hope, a hope that one day, freedom would come, even if they couldn't imagine how. Their story encourages us to trust when our own future is unclear. Like them, we may not know what tomorrow holds, but we can choose to believe that there is a purpose unfolding, even in the waiting. We all face times of uncertainty, feeling lost or far from home. In those moments it's easy to doubt, to wonder if we've been forgotten. But the story of Cyrus reminds us that even in exile, we are not alone. This prophecy reminds us we see only a small part of a much larger picture. Our lives are like single threads in a grand tapestry, each one important, even if we can't see the final design. The director knows the whole script, and the final act is one of hope. Every scene, every twist, is woven together with intention, leading to a conclusion more beautiful than we can imagine. The precision of the Cyrus prophecy is God's way of proving he is trustworthy. It's a reminder that history is not random. There is a guiding hand at work, shaping events for a greater good. Faith is not about having all the answers, but trusting the one who does. It's about letting go of our need for control and resting in the assurance that we are cared for, even when the path is hidden. The God who named Cyrus before his birth knows you by name. He sees your struggles, your hopes, and your dreams, and he holds your story in his hands. He has a plan for your life, crafted with wisdom and love. Every detail, every moment is part of a design meant for your good, even if you can't see it yet. Let the story of Cyrus strengthen your faith and calm your fears. Let it remind you that you are never forgotten and that hope is always possible, even in the darkest times. The God who moved empires for his people watches over you today. His power is not limited to the past. He is present, active, and caring for you right now. Trust in his unseen plan. His faithfulness endures through all generations. No matter where you are on your journey, you can rest in the promise that you are part of a story much bigger than yourself, guided by a love that never fails.